Whenever someone says that we are living in the digital age, many of us struggle to find an exact definition for the digital, because it just sounds like the electric plus something else. Well, there is nothing wrong with this argument, but instead of the electric, something else should be the part we put emphasis on. If we replace it by the improvement of social productivity, this sentence will be a fair definition for the second industrial revolution. For the application of technologies at that time did free human beings from grueling handwork. However, if we replace it by new mediums of information communication, the meaning of the digital comes out. Changes in the medium of information communication are significant for a civilization. For instance, the advent of paper warranted the uniformity and durability of knowledge in space and time as it was transferred among human beings, which strengthened the continuity of history. Similarly, all digital devices we use nowadays serve as new mediums of information transfer and storage, and what we did is just to constitute the electric for written words. As Vannevar Bush stated in his article, as we may think, in the outside world, all forms of intelligence, whether of sound or sight, have been reduced to the form of varying currents in an electric circuit in order that they may be transmitted. Simply put, all mediums are tangible forms of our intelligence. In addition to paper, now we human beings find another medium to embody our intelligence, and that is what we call the digital as a whole. Following the definition of the digital, another question pops up. What does access mean in the digital age? If we open Google and enter the question into the search engine, it will tell us that access is a means of approaching or entering a place. According to the definition, access mainly refers to the means whereby we can physically enter a place or achieve something. This is true in the digital age, but not the full picture. For example, to play a video game in the art and music library, I needed to enter the library first. Next, I must check out the video game I wanted to play, enter the booked room, and set up all equipment needed, like the switch and the TV. If I didn't have access to any of the stuff mentioned above, I wouldn't have been able to play the game. However, the operations about access didn't end up here. After I successfully handled the hardware, I entered the virtual game space by browsing instructions on the screen and clicking the correct buttons on the main menu. In addition to that, I needed to interact with the game via various elements on the screen throughout the process. All of this can be generalized as the user interface, which is an important component of access in the digital age. In most cases, we don't realize the importance of user interfaces because they are so well devised today that we just take them for granted. But just imagine this. If we replace the vivid user interface of Smash by a frigid console and have to enter lines of codes to execute an action, will we still find this game enjoyable? Therefore, as a significant part of access defined in the digital age, user interfaces are decisive in the interactions between users and digital devices and crucial for user experience. Besides its technical purpose, interface has come to function as a kind of trope or cultural organizing principle, which is the sentence I can resonate with. In Pokemon Go, one thing I noticed is that the options of skin color spanned from white to black as I customized my virtual image. In contrast, the majority of video games produced in China don't contain any skin colors other than yellow because its population is far less diverse than that of the US. Thus, through details displayed in their game interfaces, we can also see the difference between mindsets and cultures. Generally speaking, access in the digital age contains both physical approach and user interface, which not only influences user experience but also represents the values of designers. However, as technologies become more and more advanced, social problems that have never been seen before show up. When it was first released in 2016, Pokemon Go evoked a worldwide craze. Unlike traditional games, Pokemon Go was embedded with augmented reality technology and rendered players' physical explorations part of the game, which made the game itself more authentic and attractive. As a result, millions of players got addicted to it, and some of them even got injured as they meandered around towns with their eyes glued to their phones. Although Pokemon Go's combination of real-world and virtual experiences is a great example of access in the digital age, the underlying repercussions are also worth attention. In Technology and Human Vulnerability, Sherry Turkle shared her opinions on phenomena like Pokemon Go craze. Social critic Christopher Latch wrote that we live in a culture of narcissism. The narcissist's classic problem involves loneliness and fear of intimacy. From that point of view, in the computer we have created a very powerful object, an object that offers the illusion of companionship without the demands of intimacy, an object that allows you to be a loner and yet never be alone. As the digital age offers us a ubiquitous access to the virtual world, is it still necessary for us to sustain close relationships with each other in the real world? We have been working hard on making the virtual world more real, but are we really ready for a life depicted in the West world? These are the questions we need to address before we human beings advance further.